Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'd. Ahabati fillah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One of the original sects in Islam and the most extreme, especially when it comes to spilling blood of people and causing harm to the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by spilling their blood. And we have many contemporary examples, Al-Qaeda, Daesh or ISIS, and many of their other counterparts, Al-Shabaab in Somalia. And we could just go on by the people who are infected with this wicked ideology. But let's see where it stemmed from. Where did it come from? Where did it begin? A man named Dhul Khawaisira, he came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and some of his companions, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. And he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "I'dil ya Muhammad, O Muhammad, be just." فقال ويحك ومن يعدل إذا لم أعدل. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Woe unto you! Who will be just if I am not just?" So then Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala an, he said, Da'ni adrab unakihi. The Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an, he said to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, "Just call me and I'll cut his head." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Leave him, because verily he has companions," meaning there will become people from after him, from his progeny. And then he, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, described their sifat, their description. Who are these people? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Yahkar ahadukum salatihi ma salatihi, wa siyamuhu ma siyamihi. Yamrakuna min ad-din kama yamrak as-sahm min ar-rami." The Prophet sallallahu rabbi wa salamuhu alayhi said about these people, he said, one of you will feel your prayer is low, like it's nothing compared to his, and that your fasting is nothing compared to his fasting. They will enter the religion similar to the arrow, the way the arrow enters its prey, meaning they'll pass through it. There are so many benefits from this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which we can gain benefit. One of the benefits of this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is it shows us, as the scholars differ, the classical scholars from the Salaf, meaning some of the companions and tabi'een, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, some, very few of the Sahaba, like I believe it was Hassan and Hussein, or Hussein, one of them, radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, made takfir of the Khawarij, said they're not even Muslim, these people that we're talking about. Okay, and they used this evidence, those from the scholars throughout time who said that these people from this sect are not even Muslim. These extremists, shouldn't even be attributed to Islam. The reason they said, because the Prophet ﷺ said they will pass through the religion similar to the way the arrow passes through its prey. Okay, the most sound viewpoint, which most of the scholars hold, and that's from the Sahaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, and those who follow them until the day of judgment, Ghalibin, majority, say that they are Muslim. They are just wicked sinners in extremists, and that's the malakhis. That's the short summary of who these people are. The people who busy you all the time making videos. Oh, here's what the leaders in a country far off across the seven seas. I know you're dealing with gang violence in your household. I know you're dealing with pornography in your household. Oh, I know you've got drug dealers all around your house and you're struggling to get a job and you're fighting for survival and you just want to know how to practice your Islam as an Islamic minority. But no, we're going to busy you with what's going on in Indonesia and what's going on in Saudi Arabia. And they're doing this new law and they're doing this new law. So you see that these people, their priority has always been one, and that's to belittle and undermine the usul of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. The original Khawarij did it to the Sahaba, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. Wasn't enough that these people were the Sahaba to Rasul, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. No, we need to undermine them because we know better, because they're not ruling by what Allah revealed. This is what the Khawarij said. The contemporary takfiris, on the other hand, habatafillah, They might not share all of the same ideology of the original Khawarij, but what they do have is they generally tend to have that same ignorance. They generally tend to have that same zeal. You won't see major scholars with these people. You'll see that they focus on attacking the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, calling them murjia, saying that they don't believe that iman, actions are a part of iman. This is what these sickos do. You'll also see, ahabatifillah, that these people, they will do anything to advance their ideology. Now, that's not every single one of them, but what we've seen, let's talk about Al-Qaeda, for example, and maybe ISIS as well. Now, what we have is well-documented evidence of what these people and how they differed from the original Khawarij, because these people dressed as women. I was in Saudi Arabia. I lived there. I was actually in cities very close, and sometimes this happened in the same city I was in. What would they do? They would dress as a woman. They would blow themselves up, getting ready to go to the women's side and blow themselves up. And this happened in Dammam. I lived in Dammam. Also, Habitafillah, it happened in Hafr al-Batan. They dressed up as women. I believe it was Hafr al-Batan when it happened. And they dressed up as women. The original Khawarij would have never did that. They would have made takfir of you for that. So the contemporary people, they're so extreme, for them it's at any means necessary. That's because they're infected and affected by other foreign ideologies. It might be communism. It might be, such as the kamikaze bombers, and this is how they try to justify suicide missions, as well as making distortion of the divine text. So you see that the contemporary guys, they don't, a lot of times you'll see the way they judge, it's not by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed. And that is the most amazing thing. When you do research into who the contemporary takfiris are, often you'll find that they don't even rule by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, but yet they point the finger. And anytime you point the finger, you're pointing one finger, but how many are coming back to you? 3. These are the takfiris of this day. Another benefit we can gain from this hadith, ahabatifillah, is we see that the original Khawarij were known for their ibadah. That the Prophet ﷺ was talking to the Sahaba to Rasul ﷺ radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, and he was addressing Sahaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, the best of the nation radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. And with that being the case, ولو كره الكافرون ولو كره أهل البدع رضي الله تعالى عنهم أجمعين, that with that being the case, أحبتي في الله, we see that they were known for their ibadah. And the Prophet ﷺ was talking to the Sahaba رضي الله تعالى عنهم أجمعين and saying, hey, your salat will look like nothing compared to them. You're talking to Umar ibn al-Khattab رضي الله تعالى عنه. That's who he was talking to. We know Umar was in that gathering, as well as other Sahaba رضي الله تعالى عنهم أجمعين. With that being the case, he's talking to the best of the nation. The people were the best in their ibadah because they learned it from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, your salat is not nothing compared to theirs. And you will think your fasting is nothing compared to the way these guys fast. And the Khawarij were known for their ibadah. But was it really accepted? Only Allah knows, because they were so extreme in their ideology. And that's why some of the scholars said they're not even Muslim. And some said they're just extremists and rebels. And so this shows us the danger of those types of false ideologies which have crept into Islam, which have distorted Islamic principles, because takfir is the right of Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran who are Muslim and who are not. He gives us so many places in the Quran, tells us about the trait of the believers, the mu'mineen, the muhsineen, the salihin. Allah tells us. Okay, and he tells us who is not Muslim. You have to believe in Islam. You have to enter the fold of Islam. So that means anyone who's not in the fold of Islam is not a Muslim. They're not going to paradise. Simple. Okay, and then there are other things and other sifat, and from the consensus of the scholars and the analysis of the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, they say Ahl Batil, not the people of falsehood and wickedness like these guys, that they make these adjudications and as careful, sensitive adjudications. This is left for the people of knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our ummah from the evil of these people and the evil of all the evil that's out there, whether that be the people who believe that you can just not practice Islam, that you can have irja, which means that you're not doing, you don't believe that actions are a part of faith in Iman, or whether you are like the Khawarij, that you believe either you have 100% faith or you have none. It's non-existent. Nothing's in between. And they make takfir of you for the major sins, and they make takfir and spend time and busy the youth in the people with the affairs of governance and the leaders, instead of how to reform yourself, how to reform your home, how to reform your society. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, to accept our good and forgive our evil, protect us from kulli su wa makruh. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.